Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now the other day someone messaged me and said that they couldn't afford to upgrade their graphics card, so instead they downgraded to a 1024x768 monitor that they found on eBay for like a fiver. Talk about improvise, adapt, overcome. Now I was both sort of surprised and impressed by this little trade-off, and today I wanted to play a few games at 1024x768 because it takes me back to my early days of YouTube. It really hit a soft spot with me when they sent me that message, because I used to game at this resolution, not just because I couldn't afford to upgrade my monitor, but because I used to use an AMD A4 so if I even tried to play any games at any higher than 1024x768, well, the performance would really suffer, and it suffered enough as it was. If you go back to my early videos here on this channel, you'll see what I mean. Now, you might think that 1024x768 is a relatively outdated resolution, but actually you might be surprised to find that a lot of modern games still support it. I mean, we've done a 640x480 gaming video before. A few games still do support that, but they are few and far between. Though 1024x768 is a lot more popular, and modern titles like Elden Ring, Cyberpunk and Forza Horizon 5, just to name a few, still do support this natively. So let's get into it and compare some gameplay from 1080p footage to 1024x768 and see how the performance differs, just for no other reason that we can. Now, it's a bit of a drastic solution, especially when in-game dynamic resolution scaling options, FSR and NVIDIA image scaling, for example, can really help extend the life of an aging graphics card. That said, some people prefer a good old-fashioned native gaming experience. This also explains why the person who messaged me didn't just keep the 1080p monitor and set a lower res from their in-game menus, because 1024x768 definitely looks better on a native 1024x768 display than it does on one that supports higher resolutions, especially if it's a CRT. The graphics card I'm using for my testing today is the once capable entry-level GTX 1050. If we throw up some 1080p results first of all, then it's clear to see that this card suffers a bit these days when playing at this resolution. That said, it can still handle some games just fine when the visual quality options are reduced. It's had a good run, though I wouldn't say it's a full HD gaming GPU anymore. 900 or 720p is probably the sweet spot, but today we're going even lower. Our first game tested today that supports 1024x768 right out of the box, so to speak, is Cyberpunk 2077. Something about gaming at this resolution just feels really cool. The mismatch of a newish title and a resolution commonly used in the early 2000s sort of just works here. We're also getting a huge boost to performance as well, one that sees our frame rate almost double with this hardware and gives us the opportunity to utilise higher graphical presets if we wish. My PC is also running this under almost complete silence, which is a nice bonus. Elden Ring also sees a performance jump in terms of the average figures as expected, but there are a couple of problems with the percentile lows. It's just a game thing more than a hardware thing in this case. If you want to play at 1024x768 on a 1080p monitor, you might need a horizontal black bars fix from the Nexus, though on a native 1024x768 display things should work out fine. Buying an old CRT monitor would make this experience even better if you can justify the cost, because some CRTs will cost more than a graphics card upgrade. LCD displays seem to go for just a few quid and are sometimes even given away, at least on some of the local selling sites that I've seen. The more I play at this resolution, the more I wonder just how long this could help extend the life of an old card like the 1050 here. We are still consistently using over 1.5 gigs of our available VRAM though, after all. There's another lovely performance boost in Forza Horizon 5, with the average and percentile lows getting a nice increase. Again, this means we could potentially take advantage of a higher quality preset, though for a solid 60 FPS experience the medium settings are still the best bet, perhaps with a few more high settings thrown in for good measure. What would be cool is if someone who had like a 3080 system was still using the monitor they bought 15-20 years ago. It wouldn't be very sensible, but if I imagine a scenario where I have some friends and I imagine going to their imaginary house, I imagine I'd find it very funny that they had a 15-inch 1024 by 768 HP monitor hooked up to a $3,000 Alienware or something. GTA San Andreas Definitive Edition actually runs really well on the 1050 at 1080p, but there are a few common drops below 60 FPS. Nothing too off-putting, again it's more of a game engine thing than a graphics card thing, but 1024 by 768 sorts most of these issues out. This really is a nostalgic experience because I would have played the original on an old square TV back in the day on my PS2, and then at this low resolution on my mum's PC, before running it or trying to run it on my A430-300 setup back in 2012. Even the new release looks cool on an old monitor, though you can't beat the original. The 1050 is breaking even less of a sweat here though, and we could definitely crank the settings way up, though for the sake of comparison they are still currently at low, which combines a few different quality individual settings. There are a few high and medium ones that come with the low preset. Finally then, it's Halo Infinite. This does have a dynamic resolution option that will adjust based on the frame rate you want to target, but where's the fun in that? 1080p meant we barely scraped past 30 FPS, which isn't that great in a multiplayer competitive title, but 1024 by 768 again meant a close to double frame rate experience. This game sort of suits that res as well. It reminds me of the old school Halo days, back when the original Xbox was out. I never played much of it back in the day, but this still makes me somewhat nostalgic. It's a pretty cool experience, and the novelty may very well wear off, but I've certainly had a lot of fun making this video, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Now, even if you don't have a low-end graphics card or a 1024 by 768 monitor, it can still be fun to go back to a few of your favourite games and try them at this low resolution, even if you have a moderately modern and capable graphics card. I went back to The Witcher 3 after I was done editing and fired it up on my RX 6600 with the absolute lowest settings at this low resolution because I just wanted to see how it would perform, and it's quite fun to do so even if you don't plan on gaming like this long term. We were seeing over 300 FPS with the lowest settings at this res, and it can be interesting to see just how more powerful cards handle games when everything is turned way down. I mean, a 3090, who knows what it could do here at such a low resolution. Downgrading your monitor to improve game performance isn't a silly idea if you're happy with the end result, and that's all I can really say. You might be surprised to find out just how many of your favourite games still offer this resolution from the in-game graphics menu. And while part of me wonders why, the majority of me is thankful because it's certainly more inclusive to a wide range or wider range of gamers who might be on a very small budget. With all that said and done then, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this one, leave a like, leave a dislike if you didn't. Let me know if you still game at 1024 by 768 down in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I'll see all of you in the next one.